Oh, it's over. The song is over. We still need to change the intro video because it still says that we're the first Friday of the month, but it's no longer the first Friday of the month.
It's every Friday.
It's every Friday. Yeah. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Rant. I'm Dr. Jonathan Zenz, Dr. Jay-Z. This is Reverend Steph St. I think I'm pointing in the wrong direction. This is Reverend Steph St. Amand. I don't know which way to point. Also, just Saint Steph.
Saint Steph.
And the Rant is Radically Affirmative New Thought. We are here to engage in conversation and have some radically affirmative new thoughts. That's what I'm here to do. How about you?
Drop that radically affirmative thought like it's hot.
Yeah. You know, one thing that we didn't talk about last week, and I think most people who tune in probably know who we are, but I don't think we talked about the fact that we live in different countries.
We do. We live in different countries.
Yes, that I live in the United States. You live in Canada.
Yes.
And I like to think of myself as an honorary Canadian because I did live in Canada. I am married to a Canadian.
Yes. Yeah. You are part Canadian. I would say a good 78% of you is Canadian because you fit right in.
I say process instead of process.
Yeah.
It's the one thing that everybody always
say it correctly.
I say it correctly. Yes.
Yes. Process. Yeah. Yes, we translate well.
We do.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm in Winnipeg, Manitoba, which is known as the heart of the continent. If you look at the globe, right, and you take a look, Canada actually starts way high up. So Winnipeg is in the heart space of the continent. And so we even had welcome to Winnipeg, the heart of the continent. That's how you entered into Winnipeg.
Nice.
And so I know I'm in the right place at the right time because I definitely live from my heart space. So I love being here. I love being in the center of the country. And I love being for sure Canadian. I love it.
I love it too. Yeah. And I'm in I feel like I could not be more Wild West if I wanted to be living in the Southwest of the United States. We still have rodeo and cowboys here.
Yeah. Yeehaw.
Yeah. And I'm born and raised in Tucson, Arizona. So
yes. Yeah. And I feel like a little piece of my heart lives in Tucson, Arizona, even though I've never been there. I used to have the picture of the Unity Labyrinth on my desktop. And Jonathan, you're my spiritual leader. You are one of my glorious, magnificent best friends in this whole universe. And so with you being there, that's a little piece of my heart there.
We reflect each other in that way because you're my spiritual leader and
you're
one of my best friends in the whole world too.
I know, right? We fit. It's so good.
And the funny thing is, I think about the nature of the rant, and we've been ranting privately for the better part of a decade with each other.
Yeah.
And at some point, we're like, "Hey, we have some interesting thoughts and conversations. Why don't we go online and just rant?"
Yeah, let's just rant together.
It's not about rant.
Yeah.
Radically affirmative new thought. That's what the rant means.
Yes. And William, he sees us too, right? The two of you are magnificent. We see your magnificence too, William.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you did. Thanks. Yes. And it's a chance meeting, and I'm glad. So it was 13 years ago that we met.
Yeah.
It's been a time. And I was in ministerial studies.
Oh my gosh, it was 13 years ago.
13 years ago. I was in ministerial studies, and one of our projects that we had to do, we always had to watch other people's talks and write reports on them. And so I was watching, I found Reverend Jonathan Zenz, and he was at the CSL Toronto at the time. So I was watching this, and I found James Mellon and Joe Hooper, and all of these people were just these brilliant expressions of exuberance on stage, right? And so I was like, oh my goodness, I'm going to fit in perfectly. Yeah. And then, and so walking, I was going to my very first Asilomar. And so 13 years ago, I was not contained.
So I just want to say what Asilomar is, because people may not know what Asilomar is. Yes. Asilomar is actually a location on the Monterey Peninsula. And for about half a century, the spiritual organization that I well, we both belong to it. I'm on the Unity side of things now, but Centers for Spiritual Living, which was then the religious science organization that they were called Religious Science International and United Church of Religious Science. Anyway, for the better part of half a century, that's where they would have their retreats, was at the Asilomar Conference grounds. It was extraordinary. They don't go frequently anymore, although they do occasionally. It used to be every summer. It was like spiritual camp.
Yep. Spiritual summer camp. Love it. Love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm at my very first Asilomar. And as you all know, anyone who knows me knows I have the energy of a hummingbird on steroids. So I'm at Asilomar for the first time, and I'm in line to get my room, and I turn around. And I just lost it, because standing behind me was Jonathan Zenz, James Mellon, and Joe Hooper. All three of these like amazing speakers were standing right behind me, and I'd been watching them for months, and I lost it.
You were fangirling a little bit.
Yeah, I was fangirling. I was like, it was so great. And you and I connected in that moment, and we spent all week together. Every moment we had, we were together, and we started connecting right after that. And so
we've been besties ever since, basically.
Yep. And so thank you for seeing past that exuberant experience, but
I see to the depth of who you are.
Yeah. This is what you get.
Well, that's what I always say. Like, hey, folks, this is it. This is what you got.
This is what you get. Yeah. Bless it.
Yeah. Hey, good morning, Beryl. Nice to see you. Good morning, fellow ranters. Love it.
Hello,
Wayne,
Beryl.
howdy from Calgary.
Howdy, partner.
Howdy. Yeah.
Yes.
So what are we talking about today?
Oh, well, you had a great thing that you wrote out for us, so that we could remember.
So there was a question there were a couple questions that came up.
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, I'm going to put up the thing here. If you would like to send us questions, you can send us questions. You can send questions to revjonathan@unitytucson.com. That is an option for you, right? You can also send questions. You can send questions to Steph@oneleveawakening.com. Either way, we're going to get the questions. So send them where you want to send them.
And we love them. We love receiving your questions. We want to know what you want to rant about.
Absolutely. And you can always put your questions in the comment field. Yeah. So if you have a capacity to comment, we see, I think, most of the comments that come through, because I think we see them all from Facebook and from YouTube. So but we had a question that was emailed to me, and I'm gonna read it as it came through. It says, as one does their inner work and dismantles the blocks and healing takes place. So there's the setup, right? Does the human body or form experience somatic responses, such as headaches, fatigue, gastrointestinal disturbances, etc.? The very simple answer to that question is yes, that is possible. That is possible. But I have some thoughts around it too. So what are your thoughts first on that, Steph?
Well, the physical body is a tuning fork. And the reason this teaching and philosophy works is because the mind is powerful. So whatever it is, our body is just as tuned into our thoughts and our words and our actions as the divine intelligent mind that created this body is. So whatever we're thinking, whatever we're doing, if it is out of alignment with our integrity or our highest expression that is present, we're going to feel stuff. We're going to feel it in our body, because it tunes in to whatever it is we're thinking about. Our body listens deeply to those experiences.
Yeah. And I always like to remind people that, one of the tenets of the teaching is that everything is created twice. It is first created in mind, and then it is created in form. And the thing that leads to those experiences that were specifically called out, like headaches, fatigue, gastrointestinal disturbances, whatever we perceive to be negative effects in the body, what I think is that almost always those are coming up as experiences because we are in resistance to the natural flow. And so I'm going to talk about a jargon term that I actually learned it in Unity because it was not part of my science of mind background when I was learning to be a science of mind minister. And I'm going to grab out my trusty little dictionary called The Revealing Word by Charles Fillmore. Charles Fillmore and Myrtle Fillmore were the founders of the Unity movement. Okay, now I have to.
Mine's purple.
Yes, now I have to put my glasses on. The word I'm going to talk about is chemicalization. Chemicalization. So chemicalization means this. It is a condition in the mind that is brought about by the conflict that takes place when spiritual realization contacts an old error state of consciousness. So here's what that means, essentially. And there's a lot more to the definition, but I'm going to try and clarify as quickly as I can. When a spiritual idea that is in alignment with our highest good contradicts an old idea that we perhaps have been holding on to, maybe because it's a comfortable place to be, but is not in alignment with our highest and best, then what happens is a conflict. We call that chemicalization. And chemicalization is an aspect of the mind. Well, if everything is created twice, first in mind and then in form, then what happens is as the chemicalization happens, there is going to be some physical response, possibly. And so our work tends to be to allow ourselves to move through that with grace and with ease. So if you're feeling and experiencing, physical challenges, that may be something to look at. What is the error? What is the thing that we're holding on to that is not in alignment with our highest good? That may be something that's at play there.
I think a perfect example is anxiety. I mean, who doesn't have anxiety these days, right? There's something. And anxiety is thinking about the past or the future. It's not being in the present. And so that the chemicalization of anxiety makes that turn into something longer. And if we are resisting what you're saying, the present moment, when it's, in that idea of anxiety, we're resisting moving, just being in the flow of whatever is happening, like being, who was it? Byron Katie, what, like the thing itself, or what, what's her title? Loving what is.
Oh, it's like,
nothing I just said. Loving what is, right? Being in the present moment. Like this is what's happening, and but we are. I really see that, like as what we are resisting. Like even when we do our inner work and we're doing our treatment or our affirmative prayer, and we aren't believing what we're saying, we're resisting the truth of our innate nature of divinity by being, like I'm doing this prayer and I expect it my way. We're still resisting the greater idea that this divine intelligent presence is. We're still resisting. We're still like ego-based. This is how I want it. I want movement and flexibility, and it shows up as a red sports car. But what they really wanted was peace and freedom and adventure, right? So it's fascinating. This beautiful thing that is our mind.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah. So I think the question then really boils down to me. What are we resisting? What are we resisting in our lives? And be willing to look at the resistance, not beat ourselves up because of the resistance, but being able to really look at the resistance and determining, is this really working for me in my life? Or is there something else that I can, some other way that I can step into beingness that is more in alignment with the infinite flow? Yeah. I love this though. So Audrey says, so we are biopsychosocial spiritual man. Well, I'm going to say let's let go of the gender around that. Biopsychosocial spiritual expressions of right? Or not. No, I think that's actually a really interesting way of thinking about it. Biopsychosocial spiritual. We're all those things.
Yes.
We're all those things. There's no difference for me in the physical form and the spiritual form, because there can be nothing that is not wholly spiritual. If God is infinite, if divinity is infinite, then there can be nothing that is not divine. I also do like this term, homo luminous.
Yes. Yep.
Homo
That's
luminous.
the evolution of human beings, homo luminous.
Yes.
Yes. Wake up to that glorious thing that we call self-awareness, right?
Mhm.
Self-awareness, being aware that you are being aware, you can change your life.
Yes.
Because the moment you become aware of the thing, right? Oh, I'm tired. Why am I tired?
Right.
Become aware.
Everything in my ministry is all about opening up to awareness.
Yeah.
And we have things that are at the level of awareness. I talked a lot about this in my talk last week. You know, I mentioned this UCLA study from the UCLA Department of Neuroimaging. And the idea is that we have 70,000 thoughts in a day. 70,000.
Yeah.
And I said, how many of those do we have an awareness of?
Yeah.
And, you know, even if it was 10%, well, that's 7,000, which means 63,000 thoughts are below the level of our awareness.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, 70,000 thoughts are constructing our life every single day.
Every single day. Every single day.
Drawing up into the level of awareness, that which is below the level of awareness, it can be an answer to how we free ourselves from discord in our life, because it may be that the discord is the result of something below the level of awareness.
Yeah.
So I don't think any of us would actively try to create discord in our lives. I think we're all looking for the release from discord in our lives.
A release from discord. But there's a lot of us, you know, we're like, oh, I need to hang on to this. And, you know, there's work that is being done. The question started with when the inner work is done and there's a physical leftover, right? That's the residue. So I would wonder, is my work ever done? Because there's still 63,000 thoughts I'm not aware of. Like I know I'm an aware person. I am aware as much as possible throughout my day. This is my goal. Yeah. This is my passion and my activity, to be present for the day that is before me and my thoughts within it.
Yeah.
Right. And so many of us, I know I've been here. But firstly, remember, there is no good or bad, up or down, in or out. Everything is divine, the sticky and the sweet. So what I'm hanging on to is serving me in some way, or I would be ready to release it. So if there's a physical something that's in my body that I am using to harness whatever it is that I believe that I'm looking for, right? I'm looking for attention. I'm looking for, I don't even know what I'd be looking for now, but I know that I used to hang on to things like grudges, right? We hang on to things to bring them up later in our lives and repoke ourselves. And we're fascinating creatures.
Well, we only hold on to the things that we feel we gain something from. Exactly. And sometimes what we gain, is the dopamine hit from the expression of sympathy, which is why many of us go around telling our sob stories. As we tell the sob story, we get the response from somebody who's going to be sympathetic to the story, and it's going to make us feel better because we're getting that little dopamine hit. But the thing is, as long as we continue to live within the construct of the story that is not serving us, it will continue to not serve us. Yeah. And so part of the thing for me is stop telling the stories that are detrimental to my well-being. Like it is a much stronger proposition for me to engage in my life in a way that is constructive and forward-moving and evolutionary.
Yes. And like the body is a tuning fork. The body is a magnificent, miraculous thing, this physical form. And we have evidence that we relive old things because an ulcer exists in our awareness. People get ulcers, but our stomach lining is intelligent enough to renew itself every 24 hours, which means we are renewing within our mind the belief that we have an ulcer. It's crazy. Yeah. It's amazing. It's amazing. We renew our bodies every 7 years. We have a whole new body every 7 years. So what are we hanging on to? It's amazing. Amazing.
We hang on to a lot.
We hang on to a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we don't need to heal all of it all at once, right? Like we need to stop beating ourselves up and doing less. We need to do less to be more, right? Do less, be more. We do not need to like hardcore be on ourselves all day, every day. We get to be in the flow and just release, surrender, let it go, let it go. One thing at a time.
That's why one of my favorite sayings is we are human beings, not human doings.
That's right. Yep.
I think I just lost you for a minute.
I was reading. But that's right. Yes. How is it not also because there's still the ulcer causing bacteria in the gut? Because the ulcer causing bacteria is not being looked at. It's not being released. If it's renewing itself, there's something in our body that is renewing it. There's also our bodies know exactly how to be healthy and whole.
Right.
Absolutely.
There is also the aspect of what environment have we created in mind that is being nurtured in the physical form. You know, if I look at the work of Dr. Bruce Lipton, who wrote The Biology of Belief, his whole thing is, you know, I mean, he kind of posits this in The Biology of Belief. Hey, do we have genetic predisposition? And he says, yes, we do have genetic predisposition. That is the nature of biology. Like biology is unfolding. We do have genetic predisposition to any number of what we might consider ailments. What is the contributing factor that triggers those conditions to come into expression? And his point of view, and this is my point of view as well, is it's all in mind. What am I allowing my mind to be equal to? And so if I'm allowing my body to be equal to the susceptibility of bacteria in the gut, well, then I will probably have the conditions that will maintain the perfect opportunity for the ulcer to continue its expression. But
and ulcers, like ulcers specifically, are stress induced. So if your environment, if your physical environment is stressful, you're you know, how strong does your mind have to be for your whole body to be like, none of this stress is affecting me, none of this in my environment is, you know. But we've all had bad bosses, we've all had like experiences that cause stress. So there are and there's ways of I mean, this teaching, right? Think yourself whole. that's the nutshell. Every little, it's taken me 16 years to really get out of my own way, knowing what I know. And there are days where I'm like, wow, I feel awake. I'm awake. I'm aware. I'm living the way I want to live. I'm loving presence. And all of that's going great. And there's like, even no matter how awake I am, there's still the opportunities for my environment or the people around me to help me discover more patience, more peace, more loving kindness, right? And so it's really, how do we want to show up in the world? Focus on that. Focus on how you want to show up, how you want to behave, how you want to experience things, and how you want to engage in this life, because this is the life that is happening. No matter if I leave the house today or not, life is happening. How do I want to engage with it? And that's, you know, the blessing of this life is that we get to be aware, and we get to feel this body. This body is our tuning fork. It is this precious thing of sensation, right? So we're going to feel some pain so that we know what pleasure feels like. We're going to feel some sadness because joy is exhilarating and contagious. We're going to feel some stuff. And every part of this life deserves that awareness, deserves that attention, the sticky and the sweet. And so many of our physical ailments come first because we are beating ourselves up. We're beating ourselves up. We do not feel worthy enough. We do not feel like we deserve good things. We do not feel like that enoughness. And so, well, here you go. Here you go, body. What does not enoughness feel like in my gut? Feels like acid reflux, maybe. Right? What does lack consciousness feel like in my heart space? Yeah. You can tap into any vibration or frequency, and we can adjust those frequencies because everything is energy. We can adjust everything in our bodies using our mind. It's magnificent.
Yep. Yeah. And I think I talked about this a little bit last week, because you talk about something that challenges some people with respect to the feelings in our lives, things that come up that don't feel so good, right? Like I feel sad, or I feel anxious. I feel like those things that we don't feel are constructive. And yes, I have a tendency to agree that it gives us the opportunity to understand what joy and love really feel like. Are they required? I don't know if they're required in terms of expression, but they are not separate from the infinite. And that's the thing, is that sometimes we look at those feelings of dissatisfaction, those feelings of sadness, those feelings of anger, and we're like, well, that can't possibly be the expression of God, right? But it is, because God also expresses through polarity. And when we separate those things from the construct of the divine, then we are saying that there is something else. And that is actually what puts us in a state of mind and leads to continued expression of discord in our lives. So
yeah, separation is the root of all pain.
Yeah.
Right? It's just, yeah.
Okay,
we've got some.
So Jonathan must be in a really good space because he doesn't have an ulcer from dealing with his board president. LOL. I'll give you one guess to figure out who my board president is.
Yes. I think it might be William Summers.
Yes, that would be William Summers. Audrey, what are you saying here? Steph St, Saint Amand, and Jay-Z complement each other. More pearls of wisdom. Oh,
thank you.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yes. Beautiful. Thank you.
Enjoy the ride. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, there was another thing. I mean, we're actually, can you believe it's already been 28 minutes? There was one more question that came through this week, though. And I think it is worthy of putting forth.
Sure. Let's go.
And the question was basically phrased this way: I understand, or do I? Each being is unique. So there is no one size, so to say, fits all. Yes. Yes. And you know what I love about that? We get to be our unique, expressive, magnificent selves. And there's no thing out there that has any bearing on who we choose to express as at any given time. If there were not uniqueness, then we would all be facsimiles of each other.
Yeah. And we would lack self-awareness.
Yeah.
Self-awareness is the gift.
Yeah. You know, the divine unity expresses through multiplicity. And there are infinite ways that multiplicity shows up as an expression of unity. And so that's also one of the things that opens me up to realizing that I should never berate or think less of any other expression of the divine because of the way that they are expressing in this thing called life. I sometimes talk about the idea that knowing who I am, remembering who I am the infinite divine expression in form. I'm a facet of God. I am God. I will often say I am God. I'm not the allness of God. I am a facet of the divine. Because that's where people get tripped up. They're like, he's saying he's God. I'm like,
hey, Charles Fillmore said it in 1918.
Yeah, it's like, that's actually fundamentally our identity.
And
God is expressing in unique, magnificent ways by means of each and every one of us. And if I understand that that's who and what I am, and that all creation is that, then it becomes the great equalizer. I can no longer live in the consciousness of phobia. I can no longer live in the consciousness of isms. I can no longer live in the consciousness of considering anything or anyone as less than, even if I don't like their behavior. And that's a hard one for people.
Well, yes, I don't like the behavior. That doesn't mean I don't love the person.
Right.
Who's, because no matter what the behavior is, good or bad, there is a heartbeat in that chest that is equally the heartbeat of the beloved as mine. Like this is everything is sacred. And so just think about it, right? If someone is coming at me, because that's how they interact and engage, what is going on in their life? I am not in their shoes. I know when I act out, when I've been manipulative, when I have done poor, unskillful behavior, I was hurting.
Yeah.
I didn't know who I was. I lacked the skillfulness of self-awareness. I lacked So I know from my own experience of finding myself and the divine thing that lives inside of me, that it also is a part of everyone, no matter what. So we don't have to love the behavior. We don't have to accept the behavior, but we can absolutely trust that each and every one of us are made of stardust and water and a divine breath. That's it.
Yeah.
And so for the one size fits all for me is the answer. There is a one size fits all, because we're in presence, an infinite intelligence, and each of us are in that one. So we are its perfect fit.
Well, the size is infinite.
The size is infinite.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh my gosh. It's been 32 minutes, so I think it's time.
Yeah.
That went so fast.
No, it's so fast today. Yes. Yeah. We love ranting.
I love ranting. Yes. If you have any other questions that come up that you want us to rant. Oh, by the way, I will not be ranting next week.
That's right.
Because I will be on a plane, so I can't do a live stream from the plane. Sorry about it. So maybe, Steph will figure out what to rant on, but there will be a rant.
There will be a rant. Yeah. I'm going to find a buddy.
Yeah. If you would like to send any questions there, I'm going to put these up again. Steph at oneloveawakening.com is a place where you can send questions. You can also send questions to Rev Jonathan at unitytucson.com. These are options for you to let us know what you want us to rant about.
That's right.
Radically.
Yep. Radical
New thought.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, thanks so much, everybody, for watching and participating and engaging. How about a rant shirt? Oh, yes. Yep. That'll happen now.
Yes. I know. I'm like, yes. Yep. Definitely going to have to make that happen.
I own the domain radically affirmative new thought.com. I had to buy it.
Of course.
Yeah. So that's, we'll get some rant merch. Oh, we'll have our coffee mugs. We'll rant with our.
I know, because I'm still drinking out of my, I'm not, this is not an advertisement for a particular coffee chain, but.
Yeah, that's so unprofessional.
I know.
So Swag, we appreciate your consciousness being here, because we know that you are free and magnificent and can click on anything, and you're choosing to be here with us. So thank you for blessing us with your presence and your beautiful, magnificent mind. And anything else, Jonathan?
I think that's it. I love you all. Hey, you know what I always say on my mindful moment every single day? I always like to remind people, and maybe this is how I'm going to sign off today. You are love. You are light. You are life. You are magnificent. Keep shining your light.
And I say, peace.
Peace. All right. Peace and blessings, everyone. We'll see you next time.